I'm in your corner, friend. I'm in your corner.
My name is Mia. Obviously, the name of this group, A Vulnerable Mom. I'm just extremely vulnerable, authentic, and I show up as myself. My daughter, she is 18 months, and my journey with motherhood has been up and down. It's been good some days, and some days it's been bad, but I've all learned to look at it as a blessing, and it has definitely strengthened me as a person beyond strength that I even thought that I even had inside of me.
Or how important do you think it is to take care of yourself before, during, and after your pregnancy?
My pregnancy was very dark, if I'm being honest. I did not have support, and it just was seeming like what I thought and knew, which I always knew that she was a blessing. It began to feel like I was being punished because I did not have the support. And I realized before, during, and after pregnancy, it's very, very important for you to go to the dentist, get regular checkups, take your vitamins, and just really be in good health, because I didn't know that a baby really strips a lot of your minerals, and kind of like, especially if you're breastfeeding on demand, like they just strip all of your nutrients, and you kind of just be left like blah with nothing. I got cavities, like I need to go to the dentist, like. But they don't talk about that enough. They don't talk about how important it is. You know, they kind of like tell you, oh, you need to go to the dentist regularly or go to the OBGYN, but they don't put the emphasis on it, which I feel like it should be emphasized. Like, this is mandatory. Like, take care of you, because if not, you're going to be sick, which kind of what ended up happening to me. Honestly, I feel like I was malnourished because I was breastfeeding on demand. I'm a single mom, so I didn't have anybody kind of to help me like make meals. So I'm just with a baby trying to cook and clean, and I kind of just push me to the backside, and which is not good, because it's kind of like, if mom is not good, how can you even take care of the baby? Along the way, I just learned how to just figure it out, honestly.
Like, how important is mental health support to you as a new mom, as a first-time mom?
Oh man. So I think mental health support is like honestly the top of the line, because if you're not mentally stable, you may be functioning, but you're not functioning properly. So I think that I was just surviving. I wasn't living, I was just surviving. And I felt like I needed support sometimes. Hey, like if I was to confine into someone and to tell them like, hey, like, you know, I know this is my baby, but I'm not feeling this today. I would rather hear, you know, well, I'm here for you. I support you. What can I do to help? Versus, well, this is your baby. You had this baby, so you have to take care of that. Because honestly, I don't feel like that sound support to me. I feel like that's just saying like, basically, oh, well. I would suggest women to get a therapist, because there's nothing wrong with having a therapist. Journaling and finding out what you can do to support yourself, even if you don't have that support. But I honestly would suggest to pray for a tribe and find support in like groups like this, where you can be vulnerable and share your story and get support from other women that's going through the same thing.
Like, what are some of your favorite self-care practices?
As soon as I wake up, the first thing I do, I pray. But after that, I usually turn on music, and just to get the vibe going, I open up the blinds. Sunlight is like medicine. Like, I need vitamin D. Me and my daughter, we dance, we sing, we listen to music, we make breakfast, I journal, I read books. And I just love on me. I write a lot to myself, like what I will want like an older sister or like a mom to tell me. So I do that a lot, and I go back and I read it. I love to cook. It's like a therapy for me, a self-care.
Say are some new legacies that you're starting.
The main one is going to church, because I was not brought up in the church. Like, I would have friends that would take me to church and introduce me to God, but it's kind of different, like when your family is taking you and teaching you versus a friend just taking you for maybe a revival or something. Taking your kids to church, even if they don't understand what's going on, they are still in the presence of God and getting what they need also, you know. And I personally feel like if you bring the child up in church, you know, when they get older, they may do whatever, because I still do whatever, but they know like I was brought up in church, and they know where to come back home to. Writing notes, like I have a box, and I write like basically like a rule book, like a girl code rule book. And I want her to pass that on to her children and their children and their children, so they can know like, your great grandmother, that ancestor was a warrior. So you have it in you. You have to fight.
So what are some generational curses that you feel like is stopping at you? that you're like, this is no longer moving forward and this is what we're doing now?
Being weak, because I noticed like my mom, and I never met my grandmother, but the stories that it told me about her, like they had a very weak mind. They didn't know their worth. So feeling unworthy, because I know it will come up. Unworthiness will come up sometimes, but that's why I have that book that I want to be passed down. So if they do have those feelings of unworthiness, they can always come back to that book, because I noticed like the curse, kind of like the generational pattern that unworthiness like started in my family, which it resulted in them to like having like broken marriages and just alcoholism, just not feeling worthy. So they went to men and different things to feel worthy, So I just want to make sure that they know like you're worthy and you are someone. That, and definitely alcoholism, that is definitely something that my mother struggled with, her mother struggled with, and a lot of people in my family have that. Like if you drink, that's your business, but I don't feel like it should be like a necessity, like you need this to function. But that's how it is in my family. Like they need that to function. If they don't have it, they cannot function. So that stops with me, because I honestly had that issue myself, but it stops here, it's done, and it stops with my generation.
Let's talk about your breastfeeding journey a little bit. How was that?
Man, breastfeeding was a job. I did not know that it was a full-time job, 9 to 5. And you sometimes you clock in early. That's what I always say. It created a bond between me and my daughter that I know that the both of us needed. It was just, I don't know, it was a lot of barriers with my breastfeeding journey, because I kind of didn't know what I was doing. I knew like this was healthy for the baby and this is what I was going to do no matter what, but I did not know the demand that it took to breastfeed exclusively up until 15 months. How can I say it? What's the word for it? I want a good word where it's like ugly and pretty at the same time. I don't just say ugly and pretty at the same time. That's just what I would say. If I could, I would do it all over again, because I actually miss it.
You have that you can bring to this sisterhood and to this community?
So I feel like I can bring a lot of enlightenment to this community, because like you said earlier, like I'm a complete generational curse breaker already, where I came from, and to see how I am and what I'm doing. I feel like a lot of women need to see that, because a lot of people have ugly backstories and they feel like their story cannot be rewritten, but it really can be. And support for single moms, because it's like a big stigmatism around single moms. Like a lot, even for me, it took a while for me to say that I was actually, honestly, to accept that I was a single mom. People just need to see and understand, like, regardless of the label that people want to label you under, you can still be whoever you desire to be. You can find me on my current Instagram, __ Mia Renee.
So excited to continue to learn and grow and be able to like share more of your story with the community. So thank you so much for being here.
I'm never gonna let you down.